right, we're back here on the Dirt Beers podcast live after the races here at Ohsweken Speedway for night one with the World of Outlaws. But first, we got to take care of some home business.
All right, let's start here with Beef's going to hand me the script. And I want to thank and shout out our friends at Dig Race Products. Since 2016, Dig Race Products has had a sole focus on Northeast dirt modified shocks and suspension tuning. Located centrally in New York, Dig is the industry leader in at-track shock and setup support. The hands-on, at-the-track approach is what leads the design and development in delivering the highest quality shock absorbers to the dirt oval track market. Take your program to the next level and feel the difference on Dig. Visit Dig Race Products for more information. There you go, Beef.
Perfect. Well done, Jonathan. And we're also brought to you by our second sponsor, Inland Rigging. Inland Rigging is a machinery moving and warehousing company based out of Southern California, offering local, domestic, and international moving services. Whether you have to move one piece, a complete factory, or even a warehouse, Inland Rigging has you covered. With a deep family history in the business dating back to 1904, Inland Rigging continues the same family values that has made Inland Rigging the right choice for so many years. Well, Jonathan, this is a little bit of a different situation we got here. We're doing our first ever live show. Well, not our first ever live show, but first ever live show from a racetrack. So we just watched the whole night here at Ohsweken World Outlaws Night 1. Great racing. We're going to go through the whole night straight from hot laps to the feature. But I think it was a great turnout, Jonathan, and I think probably some of the best racing I've seen, at least outlaw-wise, at Ohsweken.
Yeah, I don't know what I don't know what I was expecting. I want to first say sorry. We're gonna have to pass the mic back and forth. Producer forgot his one job and forgot to bring two cords. My bad, but that's a whole other story. But in terms of the racing itself, Beef, I mean, I don't know what I expected because I think we've seen in the 360s and in the crates that sprint car racing at Ohsweken, you can have your good shows and you can have your guys who come out and stomp the field and stink up the show. I don't know if I had one reason to believe one way or the other, but I'm thrilled with what we got. I mean, obviously, David Gravel gets the win. We both were kind of on that train, I think, ahead of time, as probably most people were who follow the World of Outlaws. There's no reason to believe that Gravel wouldn't. I mean, he's never won at Ohsweken, so that was kind of something a little bit different. But in terms of, the show itself and this particular event, I mean, what more could you have asked for? We had not quite a late race restart, but I think it was like 12 laps to go. We saw Carson Macedo go up there and pass Gravel on the restart. We had different leaders. We had multiple lead changes under green flag. For night one, for the first time this series is back at Ohsweken in 7 years, 8 years, it's tough to long for anything more than what we got from night one.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a lot of, a little bit of unknown. Having it been 7 years since the Outlaws were here, track has definitely changed a little bit in that 7 years. Obviously, facility upgrades, that's what everybody was talking about, that Glenn has put in so much money in this place and made it such a premier facility here in Canada. But I want to take it right back to, let's start at the beginning. Hot laps was hot laps, not really much going on there. Everybody was just getting a feel for the track. But I want to talk about qualifying. Sheldon Haudenschild goes out, makes quick time overall, blows a motor, and blows a drive shaft, like just everything from motor back was no good. I believe they even changed the rear end. So 17 team was facing some problems right off the bat that they had to deal with, put a fresh power plant in, get it running, new drive line, and still go out there and put on a show and make the feature.
Yeah, I'm so impressed with that entire operation. I actually had the chance to catch up with Sheldon Haudenschild. We'll get to some of the interviews and stuff that I was able to grab post-race with some locals and with the Dirt Beers folks. For fans of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show, you're getting this one in the feed because it kind of doesn't make sense to do two podcasts about the same thing. We're obviously going to be talking about this. It applies to both. So there's some local content to us here in Southern Ontario coming on later in the show with interviews, and those are going to be up on social media. But it was one of the things that I was glad I got to ask Sheldon about because he really got the chance to shout out that whole crew with the 17 ride. I mean, obviously they brought an absolutely fantastic bullet. Like that car was bad fast early in the night while the sun was still shining, and still ended up being bad fast because he was able to drive up to P2 after all those changes, after all those repairs. Of all the people who are going to know just how much work that really was, it's going to be yourself. You've worked on these sprint cars, 360s in the past. I'm blown away by it, but that's just goes to show, I guess, the caliber of that team and that driver to be able to overcome this. And as much as the story was David Gravel, as much as he's the story pretty much going into any World of Outlaws sprint car night and an event, I think that 17 team might have been the story. As much as maybe, and I haven't seen it, I want to go back and find a replay, but that late restart from Carson Macedo, man, I think he went 5th to 1st in a matter of, restart zone to second corner. It was incredible, but we're going to have to check the tape on that one.
Yeah, definitely an incredible move by Carson in the feature for sure. But I want to talk about the heat races here too. The track fast in hot laps and qualifying. Get out there for the heat races after the late models have been out there. Bigger tires, scrubbing the track. Track really starts to slicking off near the end of the heats. And I want to give another shout out. Oh, actually, I haven't shouted him out yet. But Nicky Sheridan in the 45 goes out in heat 4, starting 4th, and before he has his motor problems, is battling with Donnie Schatz and is well within a transfer spot for this A main with the World Outlaws in his first ever race with them. And I think that the track slinging off really played into the favor of our local guys here that strapped the 410s in or even just had the 360s. And it was great to see. I love seeing our local guys be able to compete with these guys, but it was also just great to see the outlaw guys adapt to a slick racetrack because they're not always used to running on these slick racetracks, and it definitely showed that they have the capability to adapt very quickly to a changing racetrack, which, I mean, when you race 90 times a year, you need to be able to do that.
Yeah, a lot of adapting obviously going on. You mentioned the local guys. By my count here, top local guy, we've got Dylan Westbrook finishing 11th, +9 on the night. So one I would drive from Westbrook to go through the field like that, drive up from towards, starting towards the back of the pack. Got to give a shout out to Jordan Poirier, another guy, not necessarily local, but we see him down here a ton racing with us at Ohsweken or at Merrittville, anywhere that they run sprint cars. That guy shows up with a 360, always ready to win. He was +5 on the night. Some of the other names, Nicky Sheridan, you mentioned him. He was +5. Comes home a very respectable 17th for his very first World of Outlaws start. I think they put a 410 in that car 2 weeks ago. So I mean, he had some work to do. We touched on that a little bit in his interview. I caught up with Ryan Turner as well, who had to fight some adversity, spun out in his heat, was able to race his way into the show in the B main after starting on the pole for the B main. So it was a great showing from our locals. It was a great showing for the Outlaws as a whole. From the guys that I was able to catch up with from tonight's podium, a lot of them, even the local guys, they all talk about the fact that they think as slick as the track was tomorrow, we might be seeing a slicker surface, or as slick as the track was tonight, we're going to see a slicker surface tomorrow, which is just, I don't know, it's kind of exciting, and you know what, I can't wait for it already. I mean, I don't know what to say, Beef, because this is my first time seeing the 410s live, first time seeing the World of Outlaws. I don't know what I expected, but any expectations I had, I was blown away. This is an event that I hope stays on the calendar for another year. I liked the crowd that we got today. I think it's going to be that much more tomorrow. I think the racing could be that much better. And even if it isn't, I mean, just the fact that we've got these guys up here and putting on the show that we got was really great to see. I don't even know. I'm trying to think of what the storylines was, but I think the hardest thing for me was that when we had all the local connections and then you have this great battle at the front of the field, I feel like I was trying to watch both things at the same time. And it's really one that I'm going to want to go back and watch to really fully absorb, because I still don't know if I'm fully grasping everything that we saw.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's definitely going to be a rewatch on the Dirt Vision replay for sure on that race. But I I was here for the last Outlaw race in 2017, and I was here for this race, and I would say that this race, in those closing laps when David and Carson were going at it, it was just you couldn't ask for anything better. Like that's what you want to see out of the Outlaw guys when they come here. They're the best of the best, and you want to see them duke it out like that. Also I want to touch on walking through the pits, talking and getting to meet some of our guests. We got to meet Jared Buckaloo. We got to meet Clinton Boyles tonight from person, which was awesome. Awesome guys. Got to chat with both of them. But I was talking to Clinton, and he said, everybody was kind of a little bit worried about this how the border was going to be for these guys. And Clinton said it was no problem. Breeze through the border. And I think we got to give a shout out to Clinton Jeffries. He did a lot of pre-work for these guys to be able to get over the border, no problem, come to Ohsweken and put on a show. So shout out to Clinton on that, and just the whole Ohsweken staff and Glenn and everybody on running a seamless show tonight. And I'm sure tomorrow's going to be nothing different.
You mentioned Glenn too. I feel like we got to give a shout out. Gets the win. I think he said in Victory Lane it was his first win of the track in like 10 years. Glenn Steyer's back in Victory Lane in a late model. Now, I know it was kind of crates versus open motors. Was that a super late model? Who cares? At this point, let's just celebrate the fact that Glenn's back in Victory Lane. A much-deserved run tonight. It was great to see. You mentioned, the logistics of everything. There's so many things that you don't really think about. Like, just the immigration stuff alone to get everybody over the border. That's one thing. But things like, printing merch, right? With, I don't want to say the T word, but with everything going on between our two countries right now, there are some hangups that can happen. So as far as I know, a lot of the merch was printed over here, and teams are picking it up, or the series was picking up, however they chose to do it. There's so many logistical things that went into this night and these two nights in general. Even the weather. I mean, if you talk to people, you asked me on Monday, I didn't think we'd be here. I was packing the raincoat, and I was like, I don't think I'm going to be voice tracking a radio show. I think I'll be able to just kind of show up and do a full show because I don't have to race anywhere off. But you know what? It all worked out. Racing was fantastic. The show and the product, top notch. Great. I would say both ways, a great advertisement in terms of 410 racing in the World of Outlaws for us locals, and vice versa. A great advertisement of the program that we've been building, that the drivers, the crews, the track, everybody else has worked so hard on building over the last couple of years here at Ohsweken and in Southern Ontario in general. Yeah. I mean, I don't think we could have asked for much more. You mentioned shouting out Clinton Jeffrey. Agree. Can't say enough about him and his entire staff. So well run. Another past guest of the show, Doug Leonard. Yeah. We've seen Doug in action around Southern Ontario for a long time. We know how efficient he likes a show, and the World of Outlaws. Casey Kane even touched on it last week on the show, right? He talked about how efficient and organized and how quick an Outlaw show is when compared to back in the day, they might have ran till like 2 a.m. on a night like this, and that doesn't work for fans, and it's not great for crews and everything else. But ultimately, that was super cool. One thing I do want to I don't want to start anything, and I guess this podcast is going to drop on Friday, so we're going to probably have the answer to this question, but it's still worth talking about right now, Beef, is, the high limits, they're at Ransomville on Friday. Yeah. We've already heard Case Kane probably not going to make the trip up. A couple other guys. Now, they had a rain out, I think they were racing Monday or Tuesday they got rained out.
They got rained out tonight, too.
They got rained out tonight. They have been rained out a whole heck of a lot. And I know there's some guys on that tour who, I don't want to say they're strapped for cash, but they see that 25K up there and they say, maybe it's worth the trip across the border for one extra night of racing with the Outlaws. Are we going to see maybe even more guys in this field tomorrow?
So I was actually posed this question earlier in the day by my boss, Mike Bowman. He texted me, he said, the rain out had been called, and he texted me, he said, have you heard anything? And I said, heard what? And he said, high limit to Ohsweken. I said, haven't heard anything yet. But in my opinion, I don't think you see any high limit guys come across the border. And I'll tell you why right now. One, they're on the road right now. I mean, a lot of people when they're traveling carry their passport, but they're on an American tour. They're not supposed to be crossing international borders. Does everybody have their proper documentation to be able to even cross the border? being on the trip they're on right now, where they're away from their shops, away from their local towns where they live. But on the flip side, you could say like maybe everybody does have their paperwork. Do we see a guy cross the border for one night? Hard to say. I would love to see it happen. Who I would love to see? I mean, obviously, I'd love to see Riku Abreu come across the border. That would be amazing. I'd love to see Tyler Courtney come across the border. I'd love to see really any high limit team come across the border. Um, if not, though, I don't think it's really gonna slack the show here. That's the group that's here right now. We had 39 cars sign in tonight, and it was just an unbelievable show and one that I think is going to go down as one of the best outlaw races at Ohsweken, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think another guest of the show, former guest of the show, I think it was Connor Wade that may have said even in Victory Lane that this, that battle between Gravel and Macedo that we saw may go down as one of the battles of the year on the whole tour as a whole. So we saw the opportunity. Johnny Gibson had mentioned many a time that this is a top 5 facility for him. And I think we saw why it is so highly regarded amongst himself, amongst many others in the World of Outlaws community, in the sprint car community as a whole. I can't gush enough, and I'm really not trying to ass kiss or anything like that right now. I just feel incredibly proud of everything that was accomplished here today, incredibly proud of the product. So many fans got treated to something great, and as many fans as there were here today, I think there's going to be that many more tomorrow, and I think we want to see a sellout tomorrow. So, I may have to cut this particular clip and get it on the social media feed just to encourage a couple more ticket buyers or something like that. Yeah. But I mean, we really got an amazing show. That was so incredibly fun. Whoever shows up tomorrow, whatever the situation's going to be, it's going to be a great one. I do have to. There was one other thing I was going to surprise you with here, and I totally goofed. I had beers ready. I had them ready, but I hitched a ride from across the pit area back to here. Didn't go by my car. I forgot the ring light. Thankfully, we got some trailer lights. I forgot the beers. So initially, we were talking about this, and it was going to be a one night only thing, Beef. So do we want to run this back tomorrow?
We might run this back tomorrow. It's still undetermined at the moment, but I see myself probably coming out here tomorrow to watch again. Well, I'm also weather permitting. We'll see what happens, but we're also looking at going to, if the high limits make it to Ransomville and there's no weather, talking about going over there to see those guys. So we'll see what happens, but I think all in all, great night here at Ohsweken. Excited to hopefully see another race tomorrow, and yeah, it was just good to see these guys back across the border and see the fans here so excited to see these guys. Like, it's been 7 years. A lot of people haven't gone across the border to see them. They've been waiting 7 years, so it was a great turnout. I know I walked over to the grandstand side to get some merchandise. They had Canadian specific merchandise for the Outlaws coming back to Canada, which was very cool. And the grandstands were I mean, pretty packed. Like, it wasn't a full sellout, but it was pretty close. Also, shout out to Chris Unruh for letting us record at his trailer here. We're actually not staying tonight, but he hooked us up with a spot to record. So shout out to Chris and everybody here. But yeah, I think tomorrow's going to be about the same as tonight, Jonathan Eve, maybe even better.
Yeah, I don't know how you top it, but I'm looking forward to it. Beef, I don't know if you've got anything else to add or anything else you want to say, but if not, then I think we roll into some of these clips and these interviews that I was able to run down at the end of the night. First and foremost, thank you to our podium tonight. David Gravel, Sheldon Haudenschild, and Carson Macedo all took time out of their nights. They were signing autographs. I was trying to wait, get all the autograph seekers through first, get the kids for the photos first, and then they still managed to take a minute or two out of their night to chat with me and chat with Dirt Beers and Southern Ontario Dirt Show. So appreciate that. And to all our local guys, thanks for always being so accommodating. It's going to be great to hear from y'all as well. And you know what? We're going to have maybe some new faces to talk to tomorrow. We'll see how the racing goes. But Beef, let's wrap this one up. Night one, from Ohsweken Speedway with the Dirt Beers podcast and the Southern Ontario Dirt Show is through. Here's your top 3 and some of our local heroes as well. David Gravel, your winner on night 1, back at Ohsweken. Talk to us about breaking through and finding victory lane here for the first time.
Yeah, been here 5 other times, never got to win, but tonight was our night. We felt good all night long, got a decent dash draw, felt good in the dash, and I was able to get a good jump there in the feature and just chase the 79, so we got into lap traffic and got to lead in lap traffic, then the caution came out, and then 41 got a good start and slid by us and had to race back by him, and once we got the lead there at the end, it was kind of smooth sailing. Felt pretty good there at the end.
A pretty racy surface. What are you expecting from the racetrack tomorrow?
I don't really expect much different. I think it'll be pretty much the same. Maybe a little bit slicker. There's a little bit of grip in 1 and 2, so maybe that will be gone tomorrow, but we'll see. But a great racetrack here. The surface is always super consistent and always really, really racy.
We're here with our P2 finisher, Sheldon. How did it feel? How did the trip back to Ohsweken feel for the World of Outlaws and for yourself?
Yeah, we expected to be fast here, and the track was great. Yeah, first half of the night was a little bit of work. Really good in the feature. You know, I think we had a shot at winning for sure. That yellow doesn't come out, and that restart just played out a little different.
Got to be really proud of the team and the effort to get everything changed over. After troubles early in the night and you come back with a P2, what does that say about your team as a whole in this whole operation?
Yeah, honestly, Ripper and Luke, man, we busted ass all day. After qualifying there, blowing a U-joint and changing a torque tube, a drive shaft, a U-joint, a ball housing, an engine. It definitely wasn't ideal, but they got her done.
Appreciate the time. All right, we're standing by with 3rd place finisher Carson Macedo. What a move on that restart. Talk to me about getting the inside and going from 5th to battling for the lead.
Yeah, just had a really good start. Was able to kind of get to the inside of the 79, get real close to the wall and grab that little bit of grip there, and it kind of shot me down the front stretch and into turn 1 hard enough to slide David as he opened up his entry into 1. So, man, it really helped our race. I feel like it gave us a lot of track position and allowed us to kind of battle and see where we stacked up against the 2, and fell back a little bit there at the end, but ultimately still happy. Really good run. I'm able to put it on the podium and salvage a pretty good night. So I think that gives us something that we can work on. Got Philip Dietz, one of the best in the pits. So between him, Adam Zimmerman, Robbie McQuinn, I think that they'll get this thing tuned up, and hopefully we can go for that big money tomorrow.
What do you want? Is it track position tomorrow that's going to be the most important, or is there maybe something in that setup that can help you climb to the top step tomorrow?
I think a little bit of both. I think that having the track position definitely helps. I mean, you can see that right there on that restart in the feature, but I think having your car really good and in the track and having a lot of grip helps a lot too. So, like I said, we just got to keep working on it and try to get this thing on the top step.
Thanks, man. All right, we're standing by post race with Dylan Westbrook. Top finishing local on night 1. Great run. How did it feel out there, and how did it feel to be up there racing against the big boys?
It felt really good. Kind of had a couple problems there in qualifying, but got that straightened out, and just kind of tried some stuff in the feature. Just still learning with the 410 and these tires, but it actually worked out really good. Was able to move around a lot. Yeah, top, bottom, pretty much go wherever I want, and just learning more and build on it for tomorrow. And yeah, just really excited to be racing with the Outlaws again. It's a lot of fun, and yeah, just fun racing with all those guys.
I don't think there's anybody in this field that knows the surface quite as well as you do, and has as many wins, it seems like, as of late on this surface in the field. So what are you expecting from the racetrack tomorrow, and how can you take advantage of it for a better run tomorrow?
I'm almost thinking it's going to be a little bit slicker, just with all the cars running on it tonight, unless they till it up a bunch. But I think that's going to be slicker than tonight. So just kind of plan for that. Probably start a little bit tighter with the setup and work on it from there.
Appreciate the time, brother.
Thank you.
All right, we're standing by with Nick Sheridan after he makes the big A main. You had to work for it. Bit of trouble early in the night. What was the official sputter? What happened in that heat race early?
Yeah, it was a bit unfortunate. Some new motor blues. We had an injector line, actually. There was a problem with the fitting and it came off. So we got that fixed. It was, kind of sucks. We were in a good spot to start good in the feature. I had to go through the B, but luckily we made it in through there. And we just had a good car in the feature. Just it's tough when you start that far back in that dirty air.
Dirty air for sure. Also, I just kind of overheard you talking about, learning about how much fuel to put in the car and how much is going to burn off. Talk to us about that strategy and what you learned maybe and what you're going to adjust for tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure. This is our first 410 race, man. It's a lot different than that 360. I know they go in the same frame rails, but they don't drive the same, so you got to change a lot. We're still learning about how much fuel we burn, all kinds of stuff like that. So it's a learning curve, and just to make our first Outlaw show is something that I'll never forget, and to So we have a fast car there at the end, and know we could be competitive if we started a little better. Not super competitive, but a lot better. I think that's something you can really build off of for tomorrow.
Appreciate the time, brother.
Anytime, man. Thank you.
All right, we're standing by post-race with Ryan Turner. Plus 5 on the night. You got to be happy with moving forward after fighting your way out from the B main to the main and the A main. How did it feel out there? How was it racing with the big boys again?
It was good. You know, we were just happy to make the show. You know, just learning every time we hit the track with the 410 is definitely a different animal. And you know, we're hoping we're going to take these learning moments and relay them back to the 360, right? No, you know, and I felt like I passed a lot of cars out there, but between the cautions and I'd lose some, gain some, but it was all good battles and you know, didn't even get lapped. So, you know, we weren't bad. We were just a little bit off, but I think every time we hit the track, we definitely improved.
What are you expecting from the track and the rest of the field tomorrow for night 2?
I think it'll be slicker. You know, now that I haven't checked the weather yet, but depending on weather, but definitely think it'll be slicker. You know, we're getting close there, and I think that'll kind of rope all the outlaws back to us a little bit. You know, I kind of know already where we want to go for tomorrow and start there. So hopefully we can put something together, kind of like tonight. Just you know, have a little better luck in the heat race and put it in the show in the heat race.
Thanks for the time, buddy.